Welcome back to a series I'm calling Everything I Know About Backpacking in California's Eastern Sierra. As I've stated if you've watched my previous videos, there's really no problem with water in the Eastern Sierra, especially if it's a normal weather year. We're in the fourth year of a drought right now in 2015, and there's still plenty of water. If you're on the eastern side of the Sierra, there are a lot of lakes, there's a lot of rivers. Water is really not an issue. You need stuff to carry water, and you need stuff to treat water. You treat water because, I know people that drink straight out of streams that flow up in the mountains. If they come right out of a glacier, they're probably fine. But if you're camped a little bit lower in the river, and there's other people camped above the river, and some of them don't have the best sanitation, someone goes swimming and they've had diarrhea, who knows? That's the biggest source of sickness in the backcountry is people with not good sanitation. So what you don't want to get is called giardia, and it's basically diarrhea for months or years. And so that's the main thing we're combating. There's other things you can get, but that's the main one that most people don't want. So you're either going to filter your water or you're going to purify your water. And there's a number of ways to do that. First, let's talk about what you would carry to carry water in. Nalgene has been around forever. They make this 1 liter bottle. It's virtually break-proof. It's called Lexan plastic. This is what I grew up using at summer camp and everything else. But it's not the lightest thing in the world. There are many, many other much lighter alternatives to this. So this is 6.5 ounces. So Nalgene also makes these bottles, and you can also find them. You usually see them in white. It's kind of a frosted white, and it's a different kind of plastic. It's softer. It's more malleable than the Lexan is. I can't do that to this. And I think it's got a UVPE plastic. I don't know what that is, but this one is recycle number 1, this one is recycle number 2. This is significantly lighter than the Lexan version, 3.9 ounces, so, a little over half the weight savings just by carrying this kind of bottle. And there are many other much lighter alternatives than either of these, which I'll talk about now. So when I upgraded, the thing about a bottle is you have it in your pack, and you've got to reach around, you've got to get it out, and sometimes you can't get it out of the pocket or put it in easily, so actually walking while you drink with a bottle is not the easiest thing. Some people have solutions to that. They will have, the lightest thing I've seen is like a 1 liter just like Poland Springs bottle, or, seltzer water bottle. A lot of people use Gatorade bottles because the structure of it makes it so they're very durable. I've seen thru hikers with just a Gatorade bottle sort of on the strap right here and a straw, so they just drink out of it, and that's the only bottle they bring. And Smart Water makes like big 1 liter bottles. I see a lot of thru hikers with. They just weigh nothing. They weigh nothing. Like if this weighs 3 ounces, that might weigh less than an ounce. And obviously it's not durable, something you'll use for many, many trips, but you use it once or twice and you throw it away and you get a new one. It's not a big deal. So walking with a bottle, you have to stop. You got to ask your friend, get my bottle out, drink water, and it's really easy to get dehydrated in these mountains because they're dry and because they're at high elevation. And so when I upgraded to a bladder system, I was way happier. This is the first one I had. Camelback makes this one. A lot of other people make a lot of other kinds. It's just a bladder that you fill with water, and they're very durable. I think Camelback has a video of them running over this with a car and it didn't burst. And then this one actually doesn't have a bite valve on it right now, but this one does. So it looks like this, and you bite the end, and you can suck the water out, or if the water's higher than you, it'll just flow out. But what this does, this allows you to have the water in your back and the tube right here, and you just drink while you're walking the whole time. Just little sips the whole time. And I found that's a way better way to stay hydrated than having a bottle. But I have a friend that loves the bottle. Whenever he stops, he'll drink like half a bottle, and then he'll walk, and then drink the other half, or whatever. So, but the important thing is that you stay hydrated, because if you're not hydrated, you're going to be more susceptible to altitude sickness, and everything in your body works worse when you're not hydrated enough. This goes for any time not just when you're hiking. So there are some bottles. Like I said, those disposable plastic bottles weigh a lot less. And what I use now is, I think, the best solution I've found so far. Nalgene, the same company that makes these bottles, also makes these soft-sided. They call them Nalgene Canteen. And they make them in 48 ounces, which this one is, 32, which is the same size as these bottles. And they make a big, big one, 96 ounces. And what you can get is MSR. MSR is a company, and they make this part, and they call it their hydration kit. So what you can do is you can buy this canteen. It'll come with a blue lid like this. And then you can buy MSR's hydration kit, which is the tube and the top. And it just screws right on the top. So you scoop this in the river. Or if you have a fast-flowing river, these are actually pretty cool. If they're all crunched up, you can just put it in, and the fast-flowing river just like zoop, fills it up like a balloon. If you have a still lake, these are a little more difficult to fill. With this, it's rigid, so you just put it under the water, and it keeps its shape, and the water goes in. You put this under the water just squeezes it shut. So you have to kind of like scoop and scoop with this. Or if you've got another cup or something, you can pour into it. But this is the best system I've found so far. I hike with this. I usually fill this up all the way. It's about 2 liters. And it lasts me, it might last me 4 hours of hiking or so. I think I could get away with even less up there. I mean, I have a friend that just drinks out of one bottle, 1 liter bottle, because there's water most places up there. But look at your map and make sure there are some places where you won't have water for a long time, and that's something you should plan for. And the only thing I like about these bags, so they're not very durable. They're very light, but like the disposable plastic bottles, they're not going to be as durable. I've punctured this one just by dropping it when it's full on a sharp rock. The good thing about these is I'll talk about a piece of gear called tenacious tape later in the miscellaneous section. And you can just take a piece of that, cut it, and it will actually hold a great patch on this. I have one of these that's patched in like 3 places, and it's held perfectly fine for many, many trips. So it's sort of easy to patch. And the company's really good. If you get a faulty one and it's leaking down here by the seam or something's wrong with it, Nalgene's a great company, and they'll replace it for you pretty much at no charge, no questions asked. The large size is 96 ounces, and what we found, we like these. Let's blow it up. So we find that we like these, we meaning like my wife and other people I go with. The great thing about this is it weighs very little. It's sort of a backup. If you really destroy that one, you can use this one for the same thing because it fits the same top. But also, it's great if you're camping a little bit farther away from water. You can just fill this up at night, and this might last a single person all through the night, for dinner and for breakfast the next morning. So you won't have to fill up again before you leave in the morning, which is really nice. So we usually if we're going in a group of 2 or more, we'll bring one of these with us as well. Really nice piece of gear. So that's carrying water. And like I said, I really recommend some kind of ladder system where there's a hose right there. You can just drink constantly while you're up there. For me, it works way better than drinking half an Nalgene at once and then trying to walk and having an upset stomach or whatever. And it's not expensive. I think the Nalgene canteens are like less than $15. The hydration kit is, the same thing. So it's not an expensive thing, and you'll have it for a long time. Now, let's talk about gathering water and filtering water. Up in the Sierra, the water is super, super clear most of the time. Especially, you want to take water from a cold, swiftly flowing stream. That's going to be your best bet. When the water's stagnant, bugs are more likely to grow in there. By bugs, I mean little microorganisms as well as bugs. I was on the last trip, and we just dipped into the lake, and I remember I looked down into the bottle, and there were all kinds of things swimming around in it. And I was like, you know what, the water treatment we're going to use is probably going to kill those things, but I'm just going to dump this out and go over here to the stream and get it out of the better one. I actually I was napping at about 4 p.m. and I spent about half an hour watching, or I would check in repeatedly to see the little black bugs and larvae as they died slowly. And I drank some of them that night, but whatever. If the water is really dirty or silty, and like I said, that's not really the case up there. The water is crystal clear up there. Not only is that where the drinking water for California comes from, but there's a lot of spring water companies up there. The water is really, really good. It tastes great. But if it's really silty, you can do a couple things. You can use a bandana to sort of pre-filter the water. So if you have something like this, you can just use a single bandana and put it over one and use one to pour in the other or whatever. Back in the days, well, let's get to that. So this is another kind of pre-filter, just a fine mesh. This is just for like bugs. It's not going to filter out any microorganisms, but this is by Camelback, and it fits right on the top. So let's say I'm going down to the lake and I'm scooping this, but I don't want all the little bugs in it. I'm going to set this on the top, hold it on, scoop it in, and then any bugs that I have will be trapped in there. Something like that is fine. I usually don't worry about it. I don't bring this. I used it once. I never brought it again because the water there is really, up there is usually just super, super clear. So how do I treat my water? Well, back in the day, when I was at like a camp, at summer camp, when I first learned how to hike, we would have iodine tablets, right? So these little tablets that were brown, and they turned your water brown, and they tasted disgusting, and they stained your water bottles brown. So I'm really happy to leave the days of iodine tablets behind. So what I did first 10 years ago or so is I got a water pump, because I didn't want the iodine taste, and I didn't think there wasn't really a better alternative at that point. So this is a Katadyn Hiker water pump, and there's a couple parts to it. It has a removable filter, which you can change. I had one that lasted about 10 years. This is a brand new one I just got, and now I've stopped using the filter, but I'll get to that in a second. So it has a removable filter, and basically all a pump does is it takes water from your source, which would be the lake or the stream or whatever you're doing. I mean, with a filter, you can take water from anywhere, even like a little puddle or a spring or something. And it's got a little bit of a pre-filter, so it's like a little mesh there to keep, does a good job of keeping the bugs out. If the water's really silty, what you can do is you can actually tie a bandana around the end. Like let's say you were somewhere like the Grand Canyon or something where it's really silty water. That can help pre-filter the water a little bit. I mean, the filter's going to get all that stuff out, but it can extend the life of your filter if you pre-filter it. It's got a little float here, so you can sort of set it, and it'll float right there in the water while you pump. And as you pump, you're forcing water through the filter in here, and you're getting out all the little microorganisms. And as you pump, you'll see the water will come out this end. So you have this in your bottle or wherever it is, and you sit there by the stream and pump. It takes about probably like 60 pumps to fill this, and this is a really fast filter actually. This is one of the faster filters, and I recommend it. It's great. I really like it. But since I learned about the next thing I'm going to talk about, I have never used this, and I will never use it up here. I may take it, somewhere if I travel internationally and I know there are other bugs that I need to worry about. That may be the chemical, that are more resistant to chemical purification. Because the good thing about the filter is nothing's in your water. Nothing, right? It takes everything out that could hurt you. And there's different kinds. Like I said, if you travel internationally, make sure to check, because what we have here in the States is very different than what they have in Malaysia or wherever you may be going. So make sure your filter is appropriate for where you're going if you're using a pump filter. So this was great, but what I didn't like about it was how much it weighs, right? So this thing weighs in at 12.5 ounces. So it's a couple ounces short of a pound, so that's a lot. Now this is what I bring. And this weighs in at, well, right now it's 2 ounces because it's almost empty, but it's maybe at max 5 ounces. And what it is it's 2 little bottles of chemical filtration treatment. It's by a company called Aquamira. And what you have is 2 parts that you mix together, and they make sort of a chlorine type solution. And then you put that into the water, and then you wait about 15 minutes, and then anything in the water will be killed by the chlorine, just like in a swimming pool. And then you drink it. It doesn't really affect the taste of the water. It's super lightweight, and it's super easy. So this is what I recommend now to anybody who's going. A set of this, it comes in a set like this. You can get it on Amazon or REI or anything. These are 1 ounce bottles, and this costs $14, and it can treat 30 gallons of water. So that's, 10 trips, 12 trips of a couple days at least, depending on how many people you're going with. But so new, they're weighing in at less than 4 ounces new. So that's 8 ounces less than the filter, and you don't have to sit there and pump, which is awesome. It can be really annoying to have to pump 6 liters of water for the group by the river by yourself, and your forearm is tired, and it's a pain in the ass. So this is a great system. One of the tricks I've done is I kept the second cap. It comes with 1 cap. What you do is on the side it says for each liter of water, you put 7 drops of each in the mixing cup. And the mixing cap, so you would take this out, 7 drops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of that. And you take this one out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7 of that. And then you let it sit for about 5 minutes, and it changes color. It starts clear and it goes to like a piss yellow if you've eaten a lot of vitamins, sort of like a neon yellow type thing. And you let it sit for about 5 minutes. I sometimes even do it less than that. Then you put it in your water, and you let the water sit for 15 minutes or so. If it's really cold, you should let it sit for a little bit longer because the chemicals work a little bit slower when it's cold. So what I did is I kept the cap from my old one. So now instead of 1 cap, I have 2, so I can treat 2, you know, if we're in a group or something, or if I want to treat 2 things of water, I can just make 2 of these, fill them both up, wait a couple minutes. This has been the easiest and best solution I've found for treating water in the backcountry, and it's great because you really don't need a filter up there because the water's so clean. This little baggie I got, I think it's a Z-Pax baggie, Cuban fiber sack, and then I've just got a little thermometer on it because it's fun to see. It's often fun to see how cold the water is that you're jumping into. You feel like it's 20, but it ends up being 40 or 50 degrees. But so yeah, so this is my water treatment right here, and that's it about water. I mean, the main thing is to drink a lot. Oh, and the last thing I have is, let's say I lose this or whatever in my emergency little like first aid kit and stuff. I also bring some, same company, Aquamira. These are tablets. So I have like 4 or 6 of these tablets. They're much more expensive and they take longer to activate because the tablet has to dissolve first. So I don't use these all the time, but I use them as backup in case that something would happen to that. Okay, so that's the bit about water. I'll be right back and we'll talk about cooking gear, and that'll be big.